Hey everyone, time for another AI conversation. And today I'm happy to be joined by Nicole Paterno. Nicole and I caught up at an event just a few days ago, or a few weeks ago rather, from this recording. And actually, it's a small world. We know a lot of common people. Because apparently, tama ba? I don't wanna jinx it. I don't wanna jinx our age, pero we're kind of parang batchmates yata or contemporaries, no? Tama ba, Nicole?
Yeah. So I was quite surprised we were batchmates. So we know a lot of people from
High
uh
school, grade school,
high school, grade school,
college.
college. I mean, you went to Ateneo High and Ateneo Grade School. I know your folks from there, and then syempre, college. I went to Ateneo, but of course you went to UP, right? And then I just came across you because of the startup community. So your name was very matunog,
Mm.
and
Tsaka I think we certainly know a lot of common names, no? Like the
common name
the late Joji Azurin, no?
Rin, of course, who's very dear to me.
Yeah.
And then of course you got involved with FTW Foundation, of which I was a board trustee.
Yeah,
And
that's small.
Kara has really been mentioning
Mm-mm.
you, and Kara is really big on people who can really allot time um for a mission of changing women's career trajectories, especially in the line of data science. And now we're actually kind of considering AI na rin, but that still is in the works,
Right.
for PW, because there's so much demand for data scientists and data
Still,
analysts.
no? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, that's a great segue to I'm sure a lot of our viewers have also heard of you or met you somewhere, but maybe for the one person out there who doesn't know who you are, can you just give a brief background and what are you doing now, and then let's dive into a lot of other interesting topics, no?
Sure. So, I mean, I used to be, in the nonprofit sector. Well, actually, let's call it the development sector, because I just
Yeah.
wasn't involved with NGOs or foundations, but I did find myself working for government. And, you know, as Athenians, we're so idealistic, and then one day, boom, it just hits us that, hey, there are some realities that we just have to accept, and swallow, diba? And some words
Sige
are
nga,
more than
come down from
ideals,
your hill
diba?
or bumaba ka sa bundok.
Yeah. And for some people, they get disillusion. That's the extreme, ano naman, diba?
The reality.
But this was like the balanced disillusionment. And then, I don't know, for some reason, I just felt that, I did already, maybe not all, but probably my time in the development sector was up. And I said, what's out there for me, and it had to disrupt it, not naman had to disrupt, but it had to accommodate. That's what I meant. It had to accommodate my very disruptive nature. So you can say that I'm a bit quote unquote pasaway with certain things, because I know probably I'm a person who just senses a lot of inefficiencies immediately. And when there's so much inefficiencies, I kind of like want to get out of the box. I don't want to get boxed into it. So I found myself one day in 2009 working for a venture capital firm and trying to wrap my head around startups, innovation, technology. And eventually I was able to understand, and long and short of it, I really fell in love. I really fell in love with it. And for some reason, it kind of unlocked my latent geekiness. Maybe that's the best way to describe my experience. And I've already seen both sides of the equation. I mean, when you talk about startups, they're the entrepreneurs, they're the founders who are trying to like provide solutions for unmet market needs. And then at the same time, you have a bunch of people who are just so supportive of wanting to see the solutions see the light of day and support this entrepreneurs, this problem solvers. So these are the investors. And from learning how venture capitalists work to, trying to set up one of the very early angel networks here in the Philippines, 1,000 Angels, and, trying a hand also in a very different type of venture studio. I eventually found myself being an entrepreneur couple of years back. And this is actually Nancy. So if you see my background, so it's Nancy Cares. It's a booking service. So for care. So think of like, a Grab, an Uber, or a Xenia for care, you know. And this came from very personal pain point as a parent wherein, you know, you just couldn't help compare that, yayas were just so different then and now, and that there's so many demands for care. Like when my son was formally diagnosed to be delayed, I think a different type, I felt as a mother, a different type of care was needed. Of course, I'm his primary caregiver and his father, but if we're not around, who's there to reinforce the interventions or the skills he needs to build up, you know? And he's picking up from occupational therapy and speech therapy. And around that time, I said, and around that time, a lot of parents were asking me, do you know Fayaya, Kasabay? And I'm like, no, I don't, because I kind of gave up on that because I believe that we all deserve a different level and this quality of care, you know. So I became so obsessed. I wanted Nancy to start out for childcare, but as I went the rounds of talking to friends, and friends started referring me to talk to other people to weigh in on my business concept, I realized that there was also a demand for elderly care because, Dom, whether we like it or not, we're actually in a position we're in. We have our kids to mind, but we also have our parents and older relatives to mind. So we're sandwiched. And the term here is, Dom, we are in the sandwich generation. So we're managing
I was gonna
and
say nga, sandwich eh. Before, it was Gen X, pero now even millennials,
no, not
sandwich.
even, not even. When we're at the point in our life we're in, we're already attending to both sides of the care spectrum. We're sandwiched. We're the in between. So I said, okay, sure, I will broaden the coverage of care. And I started speaking to some colleges and universities that had TESDA accredited caregiver courses because I said, we're exporting so much of our care talent, caregivers for one, other therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, even our nurses. So parang our care workforce is like our export. And then, it's a nightmare of mine of, so for exporting so much of our brilliant talent to care for other countries, ano yung, sino yung matitira sa atin? And I'm like, I don't want to. Parang ganun, sorry for that language. But I said, I believe we if we want the care we deserve, then we deserve also to have or give opportunities, reasons for our care professionals to cater to our market. And we're such a big market now for care. My God, we're like what?
Huge
Almost
population.
120 million population. Okay. And then here I am, like just digging into stats. I mean, gosh, Dom, in 5 years' time, 30% of our population will be old people. We're not gonna be a once hailed young population.
I thought you were gonna say, in 5 years' time, we're gonna be in that population of old people.
Sobra ka naman. We're a couple of years by then from senior citizen. We're
Diba?
gonna we're gonna have our dual citizen by in a couple of years time. But you know, that's a reality. And the statistics and the forecasts. We kind of have to weigh in on those realities. And you know because of my son's condition, I'm so in touch with the speech therapists, the occupational therapists. And if our schools just only produce less than 200, graduates from those courses, maybe even more, less pa, you know, how will we be able to cater to the demands of families? And there's like a growing trend of children with special needs. It could be children in the spectrum to children who just have delay because, you know, um, society kasi has evolved, you know, um, infrastructure wise, people wise, mindset wise. And that affects the way how we develop, the way how we pick up skills, the way how we live and survive. But anyway, just to kind of bring it down, I said, um, I'm gonna open up Nancy. I blasted it out in my Facebook page in June 2023. And, I had like a deluge of inquiries from childcare to elderly care and the ones in between development care and rehab care. And then my first customer didn't come till like August 2023. It came from a friend and it was supposed to be for childcare, but then he said, you know what, my aunt really needs it more because the old sitter has no idea of how to turn my aunt, and she has like bad bed sores already and has no idea how to clean the feeding tube and so on, so that. But Nicole, we're on a budget, and I said, okay, let me set up something for you that's within your budget. And what happened was my first caregiver who has been loyal since the conceptual stage and has been waiting lang for this to happen. I sent her out, and for 2 weeks, she was just there in the household showing the old sitter how to, care for the bedridden patient. And you know what? They were just so happy. And then suddenly everybody said, Nicole, we need one for my dad. Nicole, we need one for, my baby. And then,
Wait, Nancy does both elderly and childcare. Is that how you segment it, or how do you
yes,
describe the
yes.
service?
So we segment it in so many ways, and I'm hoping AI will be able to help us in the process of building our platform. So we actually cover the whole spectrum of care, from cradle to, I hesitate to say grave, so I say pre-departure area, and the ones in between, developmental care, which is a subspecialty of childcare, and rehab care for adults and whoever. Um, and we set it up in such a way that we ask the clients and the patients to tell us their preferences, gender wise, geography wise. And key there is, how short or how long do you need somebody to care for your loved one, you know? So short term care would really refer to 3 months below of a duration. And sometimes this would be needing relievers because they don't know where to get relievers. Okay. And sometimes on demand. On demand scenarios would be like, oh, Yaya went on a vacation. Yaya didn't come back. And now there's nobody to take care of my child. And my work schedule is kind of disrupted. Something like that. To long-term care, which is 3 months or more. With the aim of like, just giving quality care for that person until that person either recovers or that person, gets ready for the next stage in life, you know.
Does it also cover ano? Kasi there's a term called palliative care, diba? Is that
Palliative,
included?
palliative care is something that we will go into.
Mhm. So
Probably,
it's not formally addressed by you, but in a way, I'm sure
yeah,
it touches already, right?
yeah. So it's going there. actually, especially with some of our elderly patients na, you know, uh, really, really old and just need to be comfortable na lang toward the end of their years. And I'm so glad that, I was able to get, you know, uh, a great uh, co-founder in the person of Dr. Angelo Ramos, who's an internist. Okay. And actually, a decade back, he was already wanting this. But, I guess it was too early then. And then suddenly, a common friend of ours brought us together. And he said, Nicole, it's what I've been wanting. And he also is coming from a personal experience with his mother, too, you know. So we were off single mind. And we said, the best way really is to get this thing out with Nancy and then move uh, in move towards offering Nancy on on a very business level. So talking to hospitals because we see that, you know, and this was shared already by a cousin of mine who used to handle or had the patient experience with one of our premier hospitals here. Her patients were asking her upon point of discharge, do you know of a caregiver or a private duty nurse who's willing to like continue the home care of our loved one? And then she's like, oh no, and let me check for references. And then her story was she had to go to the nurses station. She's like, okay, our patient's asking for this. And then the nurses would like scribble down on a paper, okay, probably they could check this person out or this agency. And she would go back to her patients and then she would give give the paper, the listing, and her thought was, oh, there must be something better than this. And when we had that conversation, she said it doesn't also have to be at the point of discharge. And I said, yeah, it actually should be at the point of pre-confinement. So that the family also do not have to worry about sino yung magbabantay kapag wala kami or kapag hindi kami pwede.
I'm curious though. This is really great. No? I mean, I'd love for in the show notes and the description, in this video, let's put links to what you're doing, so people can find you. But I remember, because we're also taking care of my mother-in-law, and before that, I grew up in a household where we took care of our grandparents. There was always this stigma on, the concept of putting them in a home, uh, you know, um, parang home for the aged. I don't even know if those things exist, no?
They do.
Pero here naman, parang it does it seem more kosher to families not to put yung elderly to in a home, pero somehow invest in like a third party to take care of them? Or did you encounter that kind of conversation or
Yeah,
other?
I did. Actually, it's very interesting you brought that up because tamang-tama. This was around the time like my mother-in-law passed. So, uh, si mom has been, it's gonna be a year by next week. And around this time, a very good friend of mine lost her mom, you know. And she was already learning about Nancy, but she was I mean her mom's care just really occupied her time. And around that time she and her siblings had already decided to put her in a home, you know. And when I visited her during the week, she said, how are you doing with Nancy? And then I said, oh, this so far what's happening to Nancy. We've had clients, ganyan. And she said, if you had launched earlier, I would have availed of your service rather than putting mom in a home because she was asking me for the rates and then she was computing. She said, parang mas budget friendly kayo compared to the elderly facility.
Okay.
Parang,
So in this case, they had already
yeah,
parang
they
ano,
had decided na to put tita
oo,
in a
in a home and then learned about you. So did they eventually bring their elderly back home and then subscribed? Or how
no
did it work
na.
out?
Because tita already had you know, expired, you know. So, but then again, for me, I do not treat these things as lost opportunities, but um, it somehow just validates the need more for different options of care. I'm not saying that don't go to the elderly facility. I mean, if your budget and if your preference is that, why not? But if there are certain factors that you are considering, diba? We want to position Nancy as, one of the choices you can entertain. And while we do have what's this? While we do have particular rates, the nice thing about us is when you talk to us, we customize it. We can customize arrangements for you. Why? Because we also understand that the care demands and requirements differ and are very unique. You and I guess parang ang gusto namin is if your family has tried us out, we want to service na the rest of your family, you know. Parang you initially tried this out for childcare and then suddenly, you have a demand for elderly care. At least you know that we're around to help you with your care.
Sabi mo nga, cradle to blank, diba? Or it's like life cycle talaga, life cycle management, life cycle marketing.
Yeah, and it's really focused on home care because I know that people feel more secure when they still have some eye or visibility on their loved one, you know.
It's funny, ah. I mean, I'm just reacting. This fantastic story. Parang if you think of alam mo naman ako, I'm very analytical, no? If you think of everything like a curve, no? So at the start of the life cycle, you're at the bottom of that curve and then it spikes up in the middle and then comes back down. So what's that curve about? Basically, the level of independence, siguro, no? So you start out with no independence as a child. Therefore, you need care. And then, in theory, you get more independent as you get older. And then at some point, and sabi ko nga, maybe we're at that apex, no? Suddenly, we're gonna need more care, especially at the elderly. And then, so what happens to this happy mid? Oh, I don't know if it's happy, but this middle part, and you might have an answer now. So, but my thought here is that's actually where um, therapy and coaching and basically support, a different kind of support, no? So, independent adults think like I thought, you don't need any help. Pero actually you do, but it's a different kind of help. It's more of like supportive, even mentoring actually, you know. Pero once you reach that apex, and I have to admit, there is an apex. Wala na. Parang ano na siya. You have to start conditioning yourself to be taken care of by someone else. And that can be, in a way, a very humbling thought. Or actually, it can be ego destroying. Having
Goes both ways then.
yun na nga eh. So anyway, I just wanted to react to that, and I don't know, how are your thoughts about that middle part? Are you planning to do anything there, or are you doing anything there?
Well, probably the presence of Nancy is already an indication of recognizing life realities, life cycles, and having people prepare for it, you know, because when care is disruptive or care is actually absent, it upends people's lives. It upends particular schedules, routines, flows. Diba? And unless care is stabilized, people won't have that peace of mind or that security. Now, the very interesting thing that you also mentioned about that curve of being independent. Um, I've had some clients na it's taking a while to close them because the person, their loved one or their patient who needs to be cared for is still insistent that they can still take care of themselves. No, I don't need a caregiver. I don't have a therapist. I can still do it. And these are people who already, came from a procedure.
So there's some pushback, no? So tell me about that. 'Di ba, you were talking about yung pushback of
Yeah, there's that pushback. So I actually still have clients na I'm still working on to close, and it's been like months. And they're telling me we really want a care professional for our loved one. But the problem is there's this pushback because they still think, and even after they've been discharged from the hospital and the doctor is already saying, oh, you might need somebody, to really look after the home care program of your loved one. There's a pushback and a stubbornness, and I guess they're in denial that, you know, I need somebody to help me. I need somebody to accompany me. I need somebody to support me because I am unable na to do the things that I used to do. Parang they're in denial that they already have some physical limitations, you know. So,
do
there's
you
also
mind
that.
sharing yung, yeah, the person you're talking to, at what age do you
Oh, these
think?
are like the seniors na.
So getting into senior age na rin. Oh, 60
Yeah,
plus. Okay.
yeah. Especially if, they've lived their life as very strong-willed and independent people. I think it hits their pride na parang, oops, parang weakness.
Oh man. Well, this is going to be recorded and preserved on the internet forever. But so I'm going to go on record and say I have a little bit of dread for that moment. Because obviously, as someone who's, yeah, since I'm a strong-willed, independent, as you know, as much as I think, it's going to be a complete reversal when the time comes. No, I recall my late father. I remember, so he passed away during COVID. But I remember for at least a decade going into, he died, he was 76, something like that. So when he was 66, parang ganun, parang yun ang parinig niya na, when the time comes, I don't want to be a burden to you guys. Or when it happens, I want it to be quick. Puro ganun. And in fact, he did pass very relatively quickly. Too quick nga eh. Kasi especially during COVID, number one, the protocols are you can't have a wake with the body. Diretso cremate yan. So we never really actually saw him pass away, no? We had a family video call. Imagine that, no? How inhuman that was. 24 hours before. And he was partially sedated. I think namamalikmata nga lang ako na gumagalaw pa siya. But we were all talking there, crying bawling our eyes out. Not realizing na in 24 hours it would all be over. And then in 24 hours, yun na nga, my brother who's a doctor calls me up 4 a.m. And yeah, dad passed away a few minutes ago.
Mm,
And take the rest of the day, compose yourselves. But in a day, we need to deal with his effects kasi he was in Medical City. But
mhm.
then COVID protocol means we need to cremate within 24 hours, no, or
Yes.
less pa nga. So that was surreal kasi we see him, he's in a body bag. Can't even see see
Yeah, yeah,
him.
yeah.
And then yun na yun, in a few hours, he was ash in a box, brought him home. We did a virtual wake. So alam mo yun, to this day, it still feels parang like he just went on a vacation. Parang ganun ang pakiramdam.
A long vacation.
There's that parang, I would say, lack of actual closure. You know how it is in, diba? In funerals and wakes. There is a closure eh, kasi you see the body, even if it was cremated after, and then later there's a ceremony. So we put him in a columbarium. And that's about as distant from your typical funeral as it is, no? Kasi literally a box in a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Pasok siya doon, say a few prayers, and then occasionally we come back and retrieve him. Kasi literally you can open the wall and get the urn, no? If you want to. Sabi ko, wow, ito na ba yun? Parang someone who was so full of life, someone who was a big part of your life, basically a father, is now ashes in a box, no? Parang ganun ang surreality of it. So, I have to admit, and let's see how well this stuff ages, no, over the years. I'm gonna watch this. Um, I dread that. I have to admit, I dread that. Now, one day, I'll be the one telling people, I want it to be quick. I don't want to be a burden to you. Parang ganun ang dating.
Yeah. In my case naman kasi, I also had that after I was, diagnosed to have breast cancer in November 2023. And, in spite of that, I still wanted Nancy to work, and I wanted to make sure that if I needed to be like another guinea pig to my own venture and proof of concept, I would. So anyway, we were able to attract, some caregivers.
So wait, can I ask that
Mm.
your diagnosis was part of the trigger for you starting Nancy or the
No,
other way around?
actually, it forced me to really work on Nancy.
So Nancy was already around, and then you got
Yeah,
your diagnosis, and then that galvanized you to see this, no?
yeah. And for me, I think it was a great opportunity to test things on myself, you know. Uh, and around that time, we had already started the incubation program with Upscale Innovation Hub in UP Diliman. Excuse me. And then the diagnosis happened, and some of the people were telling me, park muna Nancy, focus muna on your health. And I'm so adamant about continuing Nancy in spite of, the diagnosis.
Did
Uh,
that advice not make sense? Kasi I hear people, I mean, also just disclosing, no? I also got my own diagnosis recently on diabetes. And no, not many people know about it. I guess this podcast will make that more well known. Pero the people who finally learn about it, meron din akong maybe 1 out of 5 who will tell me, oh, slow down na doc, slow down, take it easy, recover. And for me, I find it completely the opposite of what I want to do. Kasi parang, wait a minute, parang the body is already signaled na, it's already on its journey to the decline, no? I mean, we can always manage it, syempre, slow it down. Pero yun na yun eh. For me, it's the opposite. Parang, wait, no, wait. This is the time to speed it up. Kasi the clock, there's a lot less gas in the tank, sabi nga nila, than I thought, no? I don't know. Does that resonate with you? Is that something that, you feel also?
yeah, so some people were telling me, park Nancy, focus on your health. And I did it. I did it because I didn't want to wallow in my condition too much, Um, and I think working on Nancy helped me divert that temptation, or probably that default setting of, getting depressed and focusing too much on, let's say, oh, I have cancer, parang the losses and whatever, whatever. I didn't want that, you know. So I still pursued with it, and I was just so lucky Angelo already was in the picture, around that time. So he made it better. Doc Angela really had my back, like, oh, take care of yourself, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, I wasn't really naman pasaway with my doctors, except that, after my first infusion, I told them I will never ever take my post chemo meds because I'd rather relieve myself rather than be so, uncomfortable, So, and people are just so amazed, some clients, when they learn that, because some clients I really spend time talking to, because I really want to understand their care needs and requirements, and also the context, of their family and all that, so that we could brief our caregivers, as thoroughly as we can, so that when they enter the household or they show up for their duty, they're prepped na. There's really that intentionality in our process. Some people say it's not efficient, but for me, well, that's the value that we bring to the table. That's the value we bring to the table, because people are not, people are not inventories in a stock room or in a store. These people, we tell our caregivers, don't be transactional too, because this is a relationship that could last, and the family's gonna bank on you for this. So, in short, parang huwag kayo maging sakit ng ulo din. We want you to also be integrated in the family's life. and the family will be so grateful for you for that. So for me, parang my own journey and me being hands-on really helped some of the caregivers. And for the caregivers who kind of didn't like the way how I did things. I mean, I didn't force them to stay, you know. But for me kasi I just wanted to professionalize care and make care accessible for us here because we really deserve care. And every time people ask me to talk about Nancy and I tell them the situation, I mean, you want this care, but you're only paying peanuts for this care. Then you'll definitely get peanuts for care, you know. So people should be willing to invest in care, you know. And I know that there are still some issues and concerns that we still have to hurdle. So that's why Angela and I, we have this conversation that, and also with our partners that, there are still things that we have to accept that it's going to be an uphill climb and that this is going to be, you know, changing mindsets and all. But, you know, if we don't do it well, so we saw really so much opportunity and potential. And this is the conversation that, the clients and their family members love to hear because they feel cared from the get-go. And when they hear my story, they're like, crazy. I'm like, yeah. I, I'm into it. I'm so vested na into this. And for me, this is no turning back, you know. There's no turning back because I don't want people to be bereft of care, the care that they deserve and they need.
It's a common thread. Just thought about it now, and I have a real question after this now, but about what really differentiates startups and founders from executives, having been both, or corporate employees. It Startups and founders, more often than not, I think 99% tend to be quite personal about what they're doing. Siyempre, you're trying to set up a venture, it has to be sustainable, make money if you can. But it's really triggered by this, either a personal experience or a frustration, something, di ba? And I find that really interesting kasi eventually startups, if they succeed, get big, and eventually they become the corporates. And they say nga at some point that original spirit the entrepreneur brought into it just goes away, no? Parang it fades away kasi people now start doing it as a job, you know. So I find that really awesome meeting founders. Everyone has a personal story. I have my own story then. Pero sige, here's the question, no? You mentioned AI, no? Are you looking at AI? I just wanted to, see if how the thinking is amongst founders, no? Especially Nancy, on how you want AI to be integrated.
Well, right now, kasi we have this joke, inside joke na, our process is like manomatic. Okay, but, in building my platform, um, my goal and intention is not to introduce, something new in the process of how people need to access care because I don't want to spend time teaching people how to use something new and cause more friction. If there are already existing applications for scheduling, for payments, and for matching, I'm already integrating it in the platform. But the AI component, since that's your forte, um, comes very valuable in the matching process we're in. Once we get, care requests, um, it involves getting already keywords that will connect to our database of care professionals so that we Angela and I don't have to spend time leafing over or going over through files, even digital files of our care professionals profiles. So we
So,
see
so
that
is it like a matching, parang matching process? You're matching
matching process.
caregivers with those who want to receive the care.
Yes. So getting the profile and the availability of the care professionals based on the care request, and immediately setting up that that meeting with with the patient or that family member. Okay. Um we feel that it'll save us so much time in the process of matching, because once we filled out the request, we also don't want to wait for our caregivers to indicate I'm available and I'm interested, because that's the setup right now and it takes time. What we want AI to do is also to help notify the caregivers themselves that, hey, we found this care request and we think you're the applicant suitable for this, without having me and Angelo to also push it from our end. So we see that shortening of the process and make it more efficient for us, so that Angelo can just really focus on making sure that uh, the matching takes place, uh, and that I'm able to create a good relationship and a lasting relationship with the patient, the client, and the family, because it frees so much of the bulk of work. Right now, kasi is once we get the care request, okay, Angela and I have programmed ourselves that, okay, there are certain things that we have to look out for. And it already has come to the point that sometimes the profiles of our care professionals, sometimes tumatatak na sa amin eh. But, of course, the mind can handle only so much, right? You know. So we're hoping that AI can actually speed things up for us, make things more efficient for us, and you know, uh, give us the right candidate and applicant for the family in need.
Ano, that's a really good sharing because part of the reason why I have these conversations with anyone, no, it's not limited to AI practitioners, especially founders. I think there tends to be a lot of overcomplication happening and not just with AI, with pretty much any technology. We had blockchain a few years ago, big data, data science. And I understand why, because these technologies are so fascinating. People just love learning about them, and myself included. But then, parang a conversation that rarely gets the light is exactly what people really want to do. No? So it's not tech centric. It's really at, at least problem centric, or even better, human centric. Who are you building for?
Yeah.
So in your case, what I'm hearing is there is already a business. It's getting complicated, lots of information to process. And that's perfect for some form of AI assistant or
Yes.
analytical agent to come in, make
Yes.
sense of it. Pero
Yes.
at the base of it, kasi there's always this debate eh. I think it's less here, no, but in other circles about automation versus augmentation, 'di ba? Parang augmentation is humans parang with AI, parang expanding their capacity, no? Parang ganun yung naririnig ko from you. As opposed to outright automation. Not that automation is a bad thing,
No,
pero
I'm
there's also a point where people wonder if they get displaced, yung mga ganyan. Do you have any thoughts about that? And especially with respect to what you're building?
well, of course, after having immersed myself in the process, and getting myself into the ticketing of it, um, I see automation in certain aspects of our tasks and augmentation in the tasks. It's not one or the other, you know. Um, and I think people should have that realization, 'di ba? Like for example, I'm having I don't get to attend to my Facebook page uh Nancy messages. Because for some reason the notifications don't seem to pop up in my phone, or I don't know. And for me, I lose opportunities there. But more than that, I think it's also the way how my interns also set it up. That's the reason why. So there are factors. There's not one single reason. I'm the
Let's blame the Gen Z.
wag naman because they're when they were so fantastic. So I'm kind of running on interns right now, you know. And the kids nowadays are so lucky because unlike us before, um we're in okay, parang we did have that opportunity to have this many internships or OJT. Sila they do, and it's part of a CHED policy. But anyway, um that one. Kasi it's important kasi my role is also to grow my company. How to grow my company is being able also to attend to this client inquiries, requests, and whatever. And apparently, Facebook is actually might not be the appropriate solution. For me, that's it for now. I don't know, 'di ba? But what has been working for me rin kasi is, the direct calls, the direct messages towards me because I'm able to attend to that kaagad. Okay? And they like, apparently this people really like hearing somebody at the other end of the line for that, you know. So, kumbaga, we can use automation and probably at some point in the process. Okay. But augmentation, I think more often than it happens in the middle of it. Parang I see for now this how I visualize the process in Naxi. Parang automation at the beginning and probably at the end. But most of the augmentation happens critically in the middle, Because you're trying to build the relationship kasi in between eh. And you want to make sure that when you have solidified that relationship, automation na can take place. So automation in terms of like sending the invoices, diba? Getting customer feedback or the client feedback on the care professional who has been assigned to you, those things, just so that we can maintain a relationship. Okay. But if I go back to the bell curve image that you presented, I'm gonna use that bell curve also in the way uh how we will build up Nancy's tasks and processes better. And augmentation will be in the middle with automation at ends.
Do you see AI at the kind of at the care level already? I mean, I think you're talking right now primarily administrative, for example, or doing records or matching mga ganyan, no? So that's happening at the back end, no? But what about at the front end, the theoretical front end where you're dispensing care or handling clients or patients? Do you see any application of AI there? Kahit in theory lang.
Um Offhand, maybe especially for some of the very admin tasks required for the caregivers. But I think ano pa rin care pa rin will still be very, very human, very personified. Kasi, um, yun nga very unique din kasi yung mga needs ng mga tao. Even if we can already predict that dementia patients are like this and like that, dementia patients also have nuances So like others are very active in the night, others naman are active in the morning. Their confusion bouts happen at certain times and you kind of need to manage this um, as as humanly as possible. But for certain things that, are pretty straightforward in administering care, I think AI can help. But in the other aspect of comfort, companionship, carrying conversations so that you don't you don't lose the memories that were built.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly
Like the
something,
calls,
that will still evolve, no?
yeah, but that will still evolve. But ano pa rin eh, when you sit here kasi, I don't think you can, hindi mo siya mahihiwalay na may tao.
Mm, mm. No, one way I usually think about it, and this is in general, no? I don't know how it could apply to the caring as a service as it is, no? You can think of not just AI but data in general, no?
Oh yeah,
As parang you have intervention points at
yeah,
various parts of kunyari the task. You can certainly intervene much earlier. So when you do planning,
yes,
and forecasting, so that's pre-task. Or you can intervene during a task, no? Whether it's improving decisions. Kunyari, like Waze is actually at the point of task, no? Like you're driving or traveling. Waze talaga tells you, oh, in the next 300 meters, turn left, no? So you're there, no? At point of task, no? Or, pwedeng monitoring. That's also kind of at the point of task. You're, monitoring what's happening now and
yes,
thinking about alerts, like ang dami, no?
yes,
From
ang
the
dami.
mundane stuff like monitoring vitals and stats to the creepy stuff where you have CCTVs watching people and suddenly
Actually,
the AI gives you an alert. Hey, look, this guy's gonna do something
yeah,
funny, no?
actually, phase two of Nancy, and this is part of us really catering to markets outside Manila, already, is being able to augment our very limited workforce of occupational therapists, speech therapists lalo. They're rarer, and physical therapists, you know. Um, One of the things that we're working out with them is because initially I thought, I'd onboard them in my pool, but most of them kasi they go and be uh 80% of the time they set up their own centers. Okay? And 20% might be freelancers or employed in hospitals, But 80% really they set up their own they set up their own business. So what we want to happen is we want to be their platform partner in reaching out or palalaganapan namin yung teletherapy or remote therapy, you know, so that because some of the rehab doctors they're telling us may mga pasyente kami sa probinsya and then it's a whole logistical or production for them to come to Manila kasi yung mga specialists ay nasa Manila. Same too with the therapists, okay? So what they say is, oh, we set up na lang a Zoom or a Viber, kailangan naka-turn on yung video nila para makita namin na ginagawa nila yung yung routine o yung program, yung therapy program. Para hindi na sila pumunta dito sa Manila. We just agree na lang on a schedule na okay, 3 times a week, ganitong oras, we're gonna do physical therapy, pero tele, okay, or remote. Ganyan. And dapat kitang-kita yung anggulo ng ganitong katawan, ganyan. And kailangan may kasama, 'di ba? Kailangan may kasama to help in the execution of the movement. Okay? And to also help set up kung kailangan ng set up, 'di ba? So, we want to take away the hassle of them having to set up the session and being able to like put in their notes and observations and building the profile of their patient. Parang their progress, 'di ba? From the point na they were probably discharged to up to now, 'di ba? So, and they said, "Hey, that would be a great help. We need like some data management system to happen." And kasi we want to focus lang on observing the patient and delivering na the intervention or the content. Parang if some of the work in preparing for that session can be taken away from us, that would be great, and then we don't have to worry about, okay, where are our notes, where are the information or the profile of our patient, ganyan, ganyan. And kumbaga, it's all ano na, areglado na. Those things na are areglado na. Kasi we just wanna kasi after that, pag natapos na yung session na yun, we hop on na to our next patient.
Yeah, I mean, just reacting as someone who looks at parang design, no? Like AI and data design. You cannot help but be very focused on whatever the task at hand is, depending on what you do in the firm, no, or in the operation. So if you're dealing with your client, that's your focus. Or you're planning to deal with the client, that's your focus. Or if you're in the back end doing admin, you're doing planning, that's your focus. Or I think there's a lot less emphasis though on the post. Again, I don't want to use the word mortem too much. No? Like, pero after the task. So yeah, before task planning, during the task decision, support, monitoring. Pero I feel, I don't know if this is the case with you, there's also an opportunity to do post task, like evaluate how things were done over a period, see what mistakes were made, maybe we can refine further. Um, Kasi nga it feels that tapos na yung laban pero actually it's learning from the past and see where we can refine further, no? Is there such a thing or such a pressure in the Nancy space, no? Like learn is the are you learning enough from what you're doing right and wrong to do things better?
Oh yeah, parang practically every day. Like for example, sometimes it's also the caregivers themselves, you know. So like how do we prevent uh things like they commit to the duty and then suddenly last minute they pull out for one reason or another. And we want to avoid that kasi stress na nga yung client, na stress pa kami lalo. And then that made us think recently na we always have to have like a backup, or somebody on standby. And that happened to me quite recently, ha, you know. So that's one learning. And then one of the ways is, after, let's say, the duration of the assignment, um, what can you say about, the care that, you know, your family member received? Any feedback so that we can also share the good points and the points for improvement of our caregivers, because we're in the business of building them up and we want to continue building them up, you know. And it really depends lang on the care professional if they're really open to feedback or not. I've had some care professionals medyo matigas ang ulo, and there have been consistencies in, the feedback about, them, and they still don't accept it, So parang okay, so that's the person na, but I know I've already given you ways on how you need to improve yourself, but if you're still denying doing this and that, insisting on your own story and on your own reality, then I leave it up to you. But yes, to your point, there's something to do with the post processes. Uh, and we want that to be in place kasi um, it's going to build, better relationships. Better relationships, better retention, and better pool of care professionals.
Well, just like that, the hour came by and as always, bitten. But obviously there's gonna be a follow-up to this chat. But maybe wrapping up everything we've discussed so far, where do you see, well, first for Nancy, no, where do you see this kind of care going in the future, apart from obviously your natural optimism for it as the founder, and then maybe some advice, no, to people who may or may not know about what you do, and the realities of aging, so children and then aging, parang nga the sandwich generation. And then toss the monkey wrench. AI, no, rapidly developing. Gen B starts this year as of this recording. So that means there are kids getting born this year who will not remember the world without AI. Can you imagine that, no? So anyway, some thoughts around that as we wrap up.
Well, you know, I think the pandemic exposed actually the demand for care. You know, it really exposed the demand for care, and so that's why we already have our ASEAN counterparts putting already care systems in place. You know, and they're kind of ahead of us in some way. One investor, a friend based in Singapore, when she came over and she asked what I was doing from the last time we spoke, I said, "Oh, I'm already in the care economy and care space because I think there's so much to be done here, you know." And she said, "Hey, I've been to a lot of the regional conferences, and the Philippines is kind of missing out. You know, Malaysia has something, Singapore has something, Thailand has something. Where's the Philippines?" And
There's a
that,
trend towards this kind of
yeah,
care regionally, globally. Kumbaga,
region,
we're actually just catching up if we can, no?
yeah. And the irony of it is we're the top exporters of care talent. Okay. And I've already heard this from some people in Malaysia. They'd rather get people from the Philippines than in Indonesia.
Alam mo, that should be another episode, you know. It's just so mind-blowing. Kasi obviously I work in the BPO space,
Yeah.
which in a way Nancy is, you know, you're an outsourced care provider. And then the OFW space is very parang corollary to that, no? Kasi if people weren't working in a BPO, they'd probably book a plane and work abroad. Same skill set, better pay. And everyone appreciates our labor, except the Philippines. We don't appreciate our own labor, no?
Exactly. We don't appreciate our own labor. We don't properly value our own labor. And yet we send people to labor for others because other countries are willing to pay them for what they are worth. There's some things very, very skewed and wrong about the way how we put value in our workforce. Okay. And this is gonna be an uphill battle. And our partners in the care space, we acknowledge that. And in fact, yesterday I came from just the from like a webinar in upskilling our caregivers. And we had like a post mortem session. And I said to the partners that, you know, I'm not here to be on a solo mission because care is just so vast. You know, I will not be able to do this without you guys. You know, all of us bring things to the table, but me, I've realized that, even if they say, "Oh, that's your competitor," I will not see you as my competitor because care is just so much to work on, you know. So I said, "You're not my competitor. We are friends at the end of the day." Fine, let them think that we're competitors because we're working in the same space and we're trying to differentiate and going after the same market. I don't care. But it's a market that we all are in agreement that needs to be given the right structure and support, you know. So um it's care is really not going to end. It's not a trend. We all need
Not a
care,
fad.
not a fad. But, because of what happened during COVID, naungkat siya talaga. And we saw there were a lot of things that just have to be fixed. And for me, the way how I treat my care pool is not a transaction. Okay? Because in the end, I understand where they're coming from. Okay? They wanna go and earn money because there's a demand overseas, but they're torn because they wanna stay with their families, especially the ones with younger kids. And for me, their stories just gives me all the more reason to work on Nancy, to really work on Nancy. And I think we need to have better options for childcare, you know. Even our teachers are being, exported overseas. What's left then for us? So if we don't create opportunities for our workforce here and just think of them as just mere export talent, I, isn't that so dumb of us?
Story of our lives, no?
Story of our lives. It's just so dumb of us. We're allowing other countries to benefit from our talent, and tayo, we don't benefit from our own talent. What the heck is that? So anyway, the partnerships that I'm building for the care space here is really, I'm not gonna, I hate to say this, but yes, it will impact, you know, the Philippines. But I still don't wanna go, I don't wanna focus on that. What I want to do is I just wanna fix the options for care here. I just wanna fix the options for care here, because there's such a demand. And we are going to make a case for this with Tesla and with PRC together with some of our with the partners and the alliances that I'm building.
Don't be in a rush to bring the government in too soon.
Yeah,
Knowing.
I mean, no, it will come. But so far it's Tesla who has been very receptive to us. PRC will be next, but I just want to put it out there that we also want to help hospitals put care in place, be their partner, accredited partner, and also for the companies who have employees whose work schedules get upended because care was disrupted, you know. So we want to also come in sa mga corporate HRs and tell them na, hey, think of us as like an HMO coverage, a care coverage for your employees. That when a situation happens where care is upended in the home front, the the package just gets triggered. That's
Well,
really
I wish we had more time, no? But certainly there'll be a follow-up. We need to dive deeper into this parang care trend. No, hindi na pala trend. It's a fact, no? But I want to thank you, Nicole, for giving us some time today to look into your world, which is actually our world. Everyone in the sandwich generations to come will need to face this eventually. Thank you for all the work you do with Nancy. And yeah,
so
and
much.
hope to see you in another conversation very soon.
Yep. More happy to continue this. And thanks so much, Dom, for giving me this opportunity to really talk and speak on what I'm working on. And I hope this reaches a lot of families, and that, they can get in touch with me directly on nancycare.life. Okay.
Mm.
So that's our website, nancycare.life. And they can call me, send me a text. My number is indicated there. Doc Angelo's number is indicated there. And we're
Yeah,
happy to
those
have,
things will be in the show notes now, in the description.
yeah. So we'll be happy to have a conversation on your care requirements and needs.
All right. See you
All
soon.
right.
See you soon, Nicole.
Yeah, sure, Dom.